Kia ora tātou, tēnā tātou katoa. Yeah, I just didn't quite have it. Members, when we broke for the dinner break, we were debating the Riccarton Racecourse Development Enabling Bill and the Riccarton Racecourse Bill. The Honourable Ruth Dyson was speaking, and she has 5 long minutes and 10 seconds remaining to speak.
Talo Falava Malala Safoi, Mr. Speaker. As I acknowledged earlier in my contribution, I want to re-acknowledge the fact that this is the very day of the 53rd anniversary of independence for Samoa. So it's appropriate that we make the most of the fact that it's also Samoan Language Week and use the greetings of that great sister nation of ours. I think when the bells rang for the adjournment for the dinner break, I was acknowledging the good work of the Select Committee, led by Scott Simpson, particularly in making the decision to hear submissions in Christchurch. It's a bit of a call for a Select Committee. Of course, if it's a local bill, that could be the inclination, but with very few submissions, the committee may have been inclined to say, no, we're going to just hear them in Wellington and make people come to us or do it over the phone. But the Local Government and Environment Committee, to their credit, made the decision to travel to Christchurch, and I think that was a very respectful thing to do. It also allowed people who have concerns about it, who may not have made a submission but still have concerns about some aspects of the bill, to at least know that the Select Committee was in town and was listening to people who had made submissions. So this is a big deal. This is turning a 138-year-old reserve into a mix of reserve for the purpose of the Riccarton Racecourse and the remainder of 40 hectares of the 120 hectares into a residential development, which I understand is going to be commercially managed by Kaitahu. That will allow for about 600 homes. That is a very important need that will be met in Christchurch when the series of earthquakes from September 2010 to quite recently destroyed so many homes. There was a double disadvantage for Canterbury because not only were literally homes lost, but the land on which many thousands of those homes had been built was no longer suitable for building on. So we didn't just lose the properties immediately, we also lost the potential to rebuild on much of the land, particularly in Porto Williams electorate of Christchurch East and indeed in Waimakariri as well. So this enables some of that gap to be filled, but it's by no means enough. And I'm hoping that the 30% of that 600 homes that have been committed to being built at an affordable rate, which is being determined by the KiwiSaver home grant level, which is just under 450,000. I hope that ends up that they are actually affordable. We have lost in New Zealand the ability for many people to save up for a deposit and buy their own home, and I think that's a tragedy. So having 30% of these properties, 30% of 600, do the maths quite quickly and you'll work out how much that is, that will, I hope, enable some people to get in their homes. But if you think, and own them, but if you think of $450,000 for a person on a low wage, that's still a huge deposit to have to save. I don't think that the government has done nearly enough in the broader space of housing in New Zealand to address what we all know is a crisis. We have people who not only have nowhere at all to call their home, but actually have no prospect ever of being able to save up enough to buy their own home. And I think that's quite a fundamental part of the Kiwi culture, what we frequently refer to as the Kiwi dream, that people are able to work hard, save hard, and end up buying their own home. It isn't just an asset that people have, although that is important to have financial security into the future. It also means that people have security of tenure, they have a place to call their own, and they become generally a much stronger contributor in the community because they know that that is their community. They're not at the whim of a landlord. I heard today during question time the Minister of Housing talking about how many resource consents had been issued. And Mr Speaker, I want to make it really clear that while resource consents are an important fundamental part of building a house, that in the end we don't want building consents. We want houses to be built, and we want those houses to turn into homes for good New Zealand families. So there's my little drawing contribution to the evening. This is a building consent. That's what a building consent looks like. It's just a bit of paper. And you actually can't live in a building consent. In order to progress the situation where people can move in to a warm, dry home, hopefully one that they can call their own, you need to actually build houses. I think these bills that will be progressed tonight will progress that opportunity for some Cantabrians, and I think that's a very valuable contribution.
Oh, members, sorry to interrupt, but I'd just like to acknowledge the former Australian Deputy Prime Minister, Tim Fischer, who's with us in the gallery.